4 minutes. 4 minutes is what it took me to start crying on the nostalgia that this show had on me. I knew I was gonna cry, no doubt about that, and I'm sure not everybody will do it right when everybody comes together, but that's all it took me to know that this special was made for people that not only watched the show, but grew up with it. Not only is it a special that tackles the fun facts of the series, it goes into the stories from behind the scenes and the personal attachments every person had during the production of it, which I know is a very common theme from these kinds of specials. However, this can most likely be a me thing, but the stories behind the scenes on Fresh Prince weren't as common, or they wouldn't be talked that much from the members of the cast. As far as I have seen, Will Smith was the major one to talk about his experience with James Avery as well as the whole Janet fiasco, but I never knew how the actors for Ashley, Vivian, Hillary, and Jazz felt about working on the show. Hell, not only it took me 4 minutes to start tearing up, it took me 7 to start seeing things I've never noticed, like how Will repeat people's lines while they were talking at the beginning of the series. And if you are a media geek like me, you'll know the feeling of knowing things that were brought up here like they were a big deal. You can find several videos of YouTube where Will have talked about his own experience with the show, the real person the show was inspired from, and of course, the work behind some of the show's most famous scenes. But the major thing the show answers, at least as a media worker, is how did this show manage to work like it did? And the answer is, they weren't working. They knew what they were doing, they wanted to do it, and that allowed them to have fun while doing it. There's also that the schedule seems to have been pretty tight in order to create those perfect moments in the show, but it still managed to be that way thanks to the love and passion for it. I can't speak for everyone, but I am fortunate to have worked on different environments throughout my life, and I can tell you that not every work will allow you to express ideas or to even feel comfortable while working, to the point where being professional isn't enough to make a project work. So the idea of everybody enjoying themselves while working is something that really matters for a show like this. Chemistry is something that can be made willingly. Like Will Smith says, you can't buy chemistry. It's just the way they all came together what made everything very special. And that leads to what was probably the major thing of this special, the conversation between Janet and Will. Once again, I can't speak for everyone, and those that disagree with me are probably tired of hearing these kind of things. But when Janet left, the show changed. The set was already changing throughout the seasons, but the whole environment felt different because of what I just quoted Will. You can't buy the chemistry and attitude they brought in, and Janet brought something to it. Especially when the team behind the scenes stops being accessible, like it happened to her. Which is why, with all the power the audience has on the media now, it's always necessary to understand that there's a lot more than just performers, writers, and directors when decisions get made in a show, before lashing out comments or even death threats towards only the people we see on the screen, or even picking sides like we knew what's going on behind the scenes. And hearing both sides in a civil conversation, after seeing multiple videos and articles lashing each other out to finally make amends in a proper way, I loved it. I know it's such a dorky thing to feel happy about since I don't know any of them on a personal level, but that's what happens when you connect with actors through their characters. That's what art, real art, does to you as an audience, especially with its topics and things to be tackled in an intentionally real way, or at least as much as it could for television. And given how people have decided to take the Animaniacs reboot to a point of hatred because it pushes an agenda, I can easily say that if this show, with only the clothes being updated, but same episodes, scripts, actors, and everything will be hated in today's environment. And I think those watching that grew up with the show know exactly why. If you're a fan of the show, and I mean really a fan of the show, you have to watch it. It really feels like a time capsule of not just the show, but the spirit that the show carried on and managed to make people laugh and cry for 30 years to this day. If you enjoyed it, I can see you still enjoying the important moments that audiences love to go back. Do I recommend this as a must-watch if you didn't see the show? I mean, I can say the same about watching this video right now, thank you very much by the way. Of course you won't get the point of it unless you have knowledge of what the show was about. The only non-fans that I can recommend this is for those that are interested in media history. Because whether you like the show or not, this show became a part of history for what art and entertainment is all about.